okay? Epic simile, sometimes called the Homeric simile as well. You know similes pretty well. They are comparative figures of speech, often using the words like or as. Please note that many similes do not use that those words, and especially Homer. He almost never uses like or as. The difference really between a metaphor and a simile is that with a simile, the writer actually cues the reader in that it is clues the reader in that there's a descriptive comparison going on. Okay, in a metaphor, there's no such clue. It's just stated, and the reader has to kind of infer that the writer isn't being literal, because that's the way a metaphor works. The actual words in a metaphor, if I say God is a consuming fire, I don't literally mean that he is like, the combustion of organic materials. I mean that he has characteristics of a consuming fire, right? So that's the difference between a metaphor and a simile, and we're focusing on simile. The nice thing about the Iliad that we're reading is that the editors have formatted it such that okay, sorry, the whole bus just said hello to a friend through FaceTime or something. What I was saying is that the edition of the Iliad we have makes recognizing these similes very easy. They're always italicized like this, and you can spot them pretty easily. And that is going to help us understand a little bit more about Homer's use of these similes and what he's aiming to do with them. So take a look, for example, at the first book of the Iliad. Now I'm going to scan through it super quick, but as I do, I want you to watch for all the similes that occur in the first book of the Iliad. You ready? Here it goes. Alright, so by now you're already noticing that there aren't any, right? Okay? So there are no similes in the first book of the Iliad. Why not? Because they are primarily used to enhance the heroism of characters, and so they tend to be used in the context of battle. You'll often find these in the lead up to and in the intensity of battle scenes, okay? So here's an example, and as we look at these examples, we'll begin to understand even more how Homer employs these similes. Now on the left, you've got from book 12, Homer is comparing the number of stones being thrown on the Trojans to snow flurries falling on a winter's day, okay? And you can see he goes on. He's probably got, 8 or 9 lines there, 10 lines. These similes are extended, okay? Sometimes they're called extended similes, too, in later writings like John Milton in the modern era, On the right, you have book 19. This is Achilles gearing up for battle. And you can see the simile down there where Homer is comparing his armor and the reflection of light on it to a fire that is lighting up a darkened wood, okay? So what's going on here? How is Homer using the epic simile? Well, what he's doing is giving the reader the ability to see something they can't see. Everything he's describing in the Iliad has to be imagined, okay? None of his readers have ever, or his listeners, none of them have seen anything like what he's describing. I mean, even for him, it was quite old. Plus, these heroes that he's describing are superhuman in many ways. So what he does, he gives the listener, gives the audience something that they can connect to. In other words, he's taking something that must be imagined and describing it by something that could be remembered. In other words, he's taking the strange or the foreign, something that no one in his audience would be able to see with their mind's eye immediately, and he's comparing it to something familiar, something they could see right away, something that everyone in his audience had seen. So tomorrow I'm going to have you, later today, I'm going to have you writing some similes. The point is to take something that is trying to be imagined and compare it to something that's very familiar, something that's very easy to see. And in this way, the whole point is to enhance the characters involved and the moment, the episode that's there, and add a kind of intensity to it. So, if you want to, you can think of this as, like special effects for the theater of the mind, right? This is Homer's way of creating visualization that really amplifies the emotional content of his story, all right? I know that's a little strange way of thinking about it, but I mean, keep in mind that in the ancient world, the nearest visual approximation you might get to the human form would look like something like this. And frankly, this probably came quite a few years after Homer's day, even this kind of maturity in sculpture and representation. So Homer doesn't got a lot to work with, and so it's not like you can, in the movies today, where you can create these larger-than-life explosions like you see here, right? And use computers to edit people into the scene in strange ways so that they walk away harmless, but it makes us feel emotionally involved. So what does Homer do is he uses words, okay? So I want you to do that today when you are kind of adding your epic similes to the article that'll guide you. Now, the substitute for today has a handout for you, which will explain the assignment, and that's what I want you working on now. I want you to take these sports articles and find two places, in fact, where you can add an epic simile. And I want you to have fun with this, and in fact, I'm expecting them to be a little comedic, so, enjoy this and kind of keep it hidden from your friends for a while, because again, we're going to spend some time on Friday laughing and sharing these together. But you got to find two places in the article where you can really amp up the intensity of the author's story by adding an Homeric or epic simile. So have fun with that and finish that up, and I'll catch up with you on Friday. I'm excited to hear from these, okay? Thanks, guys. Have a good afternoon. Bye.